Why is protecting the health of the planet important for UCB? Every year, the consequences of climate change are increasingly visible, and each of us is responsible. To measure the impact of the different greenhouse gases, there is a common conversion unit called CO2 equivalent, looking at global warming potential over 100 years. The rapid increase of greenhouse gas in the atmosphere is linked to human activity such as electricity and heat production, industrialization, transportation, and so on. Each of these uses fossil fuels. This exacerbates existing social and economic inequalities while having an impact on everyone's life and health. Countries expect climate change to seriously compromise their public health assets and infrastructure. Over the past 20 years, there has been a 53% increase in heat-related mortality in people over the age of 65. Based on current populations, up to 560 million people face potential flooding from rising sea levels, and the climate suitability for infectious disease transmission has been growing rapidly since the 1950s. Whilst the rapid rate of environmental damage is caused by human activities, we are also able to foster a solution both on an industrial and an individual level. Why is UCB committed? At UCB, we are guided by our purpose to create value for patients, now and into the future, and by the strong conviction that our work should contribute towards a meaningful impact on society. To deliver on this promise, we constantly innovate and care for our teams and the communities within which we live and work, as well as the environment. This forms our sustainability approach. Well-rooted in our patient value strategy, the innovation and access to medicine for the health of all of our patients, the health, safety, and well-being of our colleagues, and of course, the health of the planet. And this is what makes us proud to work at UCB. All our activities have an impact on the environment, and we take our responsibility to the health of the planet very seriously. At UCB, we aim to develop and produce medicines for people with severe diseases in the most environmental way possible, because it's the right thing to do. To provide our patients with innovative and environmentally friendly solutions, we need to attract and retain talent. Current and future employees are increasingly sensitive and attentive to environmental issues. Embedding the green philosophy into our way of working and harboring ambitious targets are proven to be an attraction and retention criterion of choice. Moreover, improvement of our environmental performance often goes hand in hand with operational excellence, which results in higher efficiency. It also allows us to remain competitive on the market and create values for the company. Moreover, we need to stay ahead of environmental regulations worldwide that are and will continue to be increasingly strict. Finally, as scientists in search of innovation, this is one of the most exciting challenges of the century. As a company that strives to protect the environment, taking such effort is rewarding on several levels. Now, how UCB built its engagement. The UCB Global Health, Safety and Environment team launched an environmental strategy in 2010, committing to continuously improve our green impact by actively engaging employees and all stakeholders. The damage caused to our environment was brought front stage at the United Nations Conference in Paris in December 2015, where 195 countries agreed to a global action plan to fight climate change by setting goals of limiting the increase in global temperature to well below 2 degrees. To respond positively to this call for action, we conducted an environmental impact assessment to identify our priority areas. These were the reduction of our water use, waste production, and carbon emissions. And subsequently, we added quantitative targets to materialize our green ambition. UCB's green targets are to reduce our water use by 20%, our waste generation by 25%, and to be carbon neutral, all by 2030 in comparison to 2015's absolute figures. Since then, our portfolio and pipeline are growing, further increasing the challenge. But all of this resonates with the societal challenge of increasing gross domestic product whilst protecting the planet and allowing the future generations to have the same opportunities. Being carbon neutral by 2030 for the operations we directly controlled will happen through two mechanisms. Firstly, and most importantly, reducing our emissions. To complement our efforts, UCB embraces carbon offsetting for unavoidable emissions. The best option is always to avoid pollution wherever possible. Therefore, we enforced a rule that 80% of our time, effort, and money would be invested in reducing our emissions by changing the way in which we operate. Only 20% of our efforts will be directed to offsetting. We further consolidated our commitment to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by submitting our environmental targets to the Science Based Targets initiative and further extended our impact across our network of partners and our value chain. We are assessing all our existing suppliers on their environmental ambition and green maturity level and supporting them to shift towards a low-carbon economy. For all new suppliers, we strive to embed their green maturity as a decision criteria. As a result, our indirect impact target is that of 60% of emissions from our suppliers, and external manufacturing partners will have science-based targets or commit to carbon neutrality by 2025. UCB teams are incredibly engaged and actively contribute to bridging the gap and achieving our ambitions by delivering greener solutions to each and every patient. It is essential that we continue to strive and to be green by design, continuously looking at the environmental impact of our existing and future assets and making environmentally conscious decisions. It's true that we cannot get through a single day without having an impact on the world around us. But we can take conscious decisions to reduce this impact. Just take some time to imagine the environment in which we may work in a few years. Anyone could easily go to work without the need for fossil fuels. It would be a stress-free commute where you wouldn't have to cope with air, visual, or noise pollution. Or you could even use holograms for your business meetings, developing environmentally neutral solutions in a relaxing working space accommodated to suit your well-being. Let's dream even further and imagine that each and every patient will have access to a single dose per year produced at home or at the nearest hospital. Let's work together, step by step, to build this world for our patients, our children, and for ourselves. UCB, inspired by patients, driven by science.